Hello Laziali all over the world, welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile and luckily I'm much better than last week. Sorry again for my voice and my condition in the last episode. Uh, so happy about Alistair leaving that I celebrate too much, and this is what happens when you're getting older. You cannot celebrate too much. But I'm joined again with I call him the biggest Isaacson expert, Carsten Kron. Hi Carsten, hope you're fine. Nice cup of coffee.
All right. Yeah. You've seen this before, right?
Yeah, Diego Armando Maradona. You showed me last year, I think, that cup. We should change it. We should put someone like, I don't know, Paul Gascoigne
Yes, or Jerry Mobile.
or Giorgio Ginaglia. Yes, absolutely. So, Alistair, third consecutive win for Lazio. What's going on?
Did you just call me Alistair? I think
Oh,
you did.
sorry. Embarrassing. Sorry, Carsten.
That's fine.
Third consecutive win for Lazio.
Yeah, and we're scoring a lot of goals. We've scored 6 goals in the last three games, right? Or is it even 7? I can't remember. Um, but anyway, yeah, we're scoring goals. We're winning. We've won 6 of our last 9 matches, which is really, really good. When you consider the ones that we haven't won have been against Atletico Madrid and Inter. So I think Lazio is one of the strongest teams in the league at the moment, and I think that just goes to prove that that it might not have looked that great a month ago, but I always thought the team looked pretty good and it looked fine. I just thought that the marginal decisions just weren't really with Lazio, and now it's kind of coming. It's kind of coming around. Lazio are winning the close matches, and that's the way it goes. Over a whole season, you lose some close matches and you win some close matches.
Yes, we won, for people who are not aware, 2-1 against Udinese away. We won last game of last year, Lazio Frosinone 3-1 at home. And before Christmas, Empoli Lazio 2-0. So this is the second consecutive away game we win, which it sounds nothing special, but for Lazio, unfortunately, it is. Because this year away, we have been dreadful, Carsten. We lost against Lecce. We lost against Salernitana. We lost against Bologna, who's playing pretty well, but still, it's a loss. We lost against Milan and Juventus, and these are games you could expect to lose. But if you want to get in the top 4, you have to win away games as well. And this team has been struggling. Now, things have gone better. I want to ask you, do you think it's because we're playing weaker side now, like Empoli and Udinese, or because the team just is improving generally?
I think we are playing weaker sides. We talked about this, the fact that Lazio had a very difficult beginning of the season. We played a lot of really good teams the first 10 games, and now we're sort of facing a sort of a streak of relatively bad teams. And I mean, nothing is guaranteed. We failed to beat Lecce and Salernitana earlier this season, but obviously it's easier to win against someone like Empoli than it is to win against Milan or Inter. So no, I think it's just part of the season. If you look at Roma's season, they have a really, really tough schedule at the moment. So they're not making a lot of points, and it's just the way the season has been set up. I think Lazio's kind of playing the way we've been playing all along, basically.
I'm gonna make you smile this time, I guess. Can we say that the difference of the last performance, winning performance, is Gustav Isaacsen? When he came in, Lazio start creating more chances, scoring more goals, creating more opportunity.
So the thing about Gustav Isaacsen against Udinese is that I don't agree with you that he played a good first half. He should have maybe had a penalty. Very difficult to see. The replays didn't show anything at all, but he got that free kick. We scored on the free kick. Great work from him. He got the ball really, really well, and then there was a big free kick, and we scored. But I think after that he hardly touched the ball, because I think the match against Udinese was one of the ugliest matches I've seen in 10 years. I mean, Udinese plays like a wrestling team. Let's just face
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
They're all really, really big. They're all really, really strong. I mean, even the fact that they have these long throw-ins, into the middle of the pitch just to get even more of these one-on-one duels all the time. And Lazio is such a small team, so I was really afraid of this match because we have I wouldn't call it a midget team, but it's a small team, and Udinese is just a huge team. I look at that Wallace guy. Every time he got into the box, he like half the box was basically just him.
Yeah, and we are not a very tall team, and without Romagnoli and Casale, our central defender is, I think, the smallest of the Serie A. And they had this guy, Luca, there in front. And pretty much Udinese, what they did all the first half was this long ball to this player, hoping that he can stop the ball, bring it down and control it. I thought that Gila and Patrick had another terrific game, even though they're quite small and they should be struggling against a play like that. I thought they played well, to be honest. So this is another encouraging sign. But yeah, I agree with you. Udinese is a very physical team. I don't want to start the blaming ref, but in a game like that, you should be giving far more yellow cards than the ref did. I mean, Udinese was, as you were saying, it looked like a wrestling game at a certain point, not football.
Yeah, the funny thing is, if you look at the fouls, there's 38 fouls, which is a lot. That's a lot of fouls. But actually, Lazio committed more fouls. They committed 22 fouls. And Udinese only committed 16. But I think the only way you can play a team like Udinese is sort of do what they do, because they break up the game all the time. They make these fouls, and Lazio is sort of doing the same thing. I think Udinese's fouls were far bigger, worse than the Lazio fouls, but it was just an ugly game. It was just stop, go, stop, go, stop, go all the time. And it's so hard to play against Udinese. They haven't lost at home since September. So beating Udinese was really, I mean, it's an achievement that's worth noticing. It really is.
Yeah, they beat Bologna the game before, who is probably the surprise of the season, playing like that, right? Defending very well, tackling, and then when they had the chance, they scored. So they are a very difficult team. It's very difficult to play against them. You said it wasn't a great match. We have to say that Kamada didn't help, right? His performance again was dreadful, and Sarri had to take him off after 45 minutes.
I think both Kamada and Isaksen had big problems with this kind of football. And I've seen this many times when Isaksen plays in Denmark. If it's an ugly game, and if the referee isn't good enough at sort of punishing the defenders who play really rough, Isaksen never has a good game, because people will just foul him all the time. And I think that's kind of what happened. He didn't have a good game, but Kamada, I think, was maybe the worst Lazio half he's had so far. He was dreadful. He was really bad. And another thing I noticed was that he actually had a pretty big opportunity. Do you remember the header that he had? It was a terrible header. It was like a defensive header. He just headed it straight up in the air. And I was thinking, that's a big chance. And he made it look like absolutely nothing at all.
The impression I had, he was surprised, but he was all alone in the box. I mean, you are not a 16 years old kid having your debut. You are a very experienced player. You should be at least the goalkeeper should be making a terrific save. At least sending over the bar, that's terrible. And I think mentally he's not there. It's like he's somewhere else, and that's why he's playing so bad.
Well, I think that Vittorio, I agree with you. I think that I very much doubt that he's a player for Lazio. I don't think that he really, to be honest, I don't think he really fits into the team. But I must say that when we play a team like Udinese, and against Roma, it'll be the same thing. It'll be a lot of fighting. It'll be a lot of wrestling. And Kamada is just not a wrestler. He's not a fighter. He's a very elegant player. He has really good technique. He has good technical skills. He's a clever player, but he's not a fighter whatsoever. So I think that getting Vecino in the second half we probably should have started with Vecino. We talked about it last week. He can play this playmaker. He's a very different playmaker. He doesn't have the technical skills, but he has a lot of physique. He has a lot of heart, and he scores goals.
So you agree with me that tomorrow and probably even next weekend, you would start Vecino ahead of Kamada if Luis Alberto is not fit, especially in the derby with the Roma playing a Udinese type of football, right?
Yeah, no, I think Roma will play really, really rough as Udinese did it. They know that if they play the kind of fluent football with Lazio, they'll probably lose. So they'll try and do exactly what Udinese did, which means stop, go, stop, go, stop, go all the time. So we need somebody, especially in midfield, who is competitive, who can take up these fights, and who is also strong in the air whenever they have a free kick or something. You know, we just need somebody who has a lot of physique, because if Romagnoli is not back tomorrow, and he probably is not, right? We still have our really, really small defenders. So that'll be a problem. Who's going to mark Lukaku?
Yeah, there's a question mark. Romagnoli entered the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the game Sunday. So I don't know if he's 100% fit. And, you know, the derby is always the derby. Sarri said it. It's an important game for our fans. But it's in the worst period, because we are 3 points now away from the Champions League spot. And we have a home game next Sunday, really, really important, against Lecce. We need to win. So, you know, the question mark is, do you rest starters in the derby, or do you start your best player and then, you know, with the players available, you play against Lecce? Because it's a quarterfinal of Coppa Italia. If you win, you play against Juventus, so you're probably out anyway. Do you risk the players in the derby? And you know it's going to be a fight. So you know that some of them will finish the match with issue. So I don't know. What's your take?
I mean, I don't think that Lazio is even considering not playing the best people against Roma. It's a derby. The derby is so incredibly important. I know it's only a Coppa Italia. I know it's only the quarterfinals. We probably won't win Coppa Italia anyway. But it's just a derby. And you know, if we win that derby, we will have a streak of 4 matches where we haven't lost to Roma at all. If we win, it'll be three matches won and one draw. I can't even kind of remember anything like that, Vittorio.
Yeah, and it's all thanks to Mourinho, you're saying, the great Mourinho's football.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
what a terrible coach.
You mentioned Isaksen. We have to say that he got injured after, what was it, 12 minutes when we got the penalty, with the free kick. So I think the performance, the bad performance in the first half was dictated by his injury. He's going to probably miss the derby. Can we say that his absence is even more important than the Ciro Immobile absence? Because he's been playing so well lately and become a key player for Lazio.
Well, I mean, that's a hard question to ask. I think that is certainly important, but the way that Felipe Anderson played in the second half against Udinese, he was back to his best, basically. He was playing extremely well. I think his assist to the goal by Vecino was just, I mean, it's an incredible assist. He's such an intelligent player, Felipe Anderson. And I must say, I love Gustav Isaksen, Vittorio, but he would never have been able to make that assist. No, I mean, never in a million years. So in a way, I think that Felipe Anderson is at least as good as Gustav Isaksen. But I do agree with you that whenever Gustav Isaksen is on, something happens every time you give him the ball. And that's a little bit magical for Lazio at the moment, because if you look at the game against Udinese, we didn't create anything in that game.
No.
I think we got away from the game. Our XG was 0.5, and we scored 2 goals. That's very, very efficient. But one of the goals was because of Isaksen, and another one could have been, if there had been a penalty, could have been him as well. So he is important because he creates so many chances for Lazio, and hopefully he'll be ready for maybe the Lecce game is better for him, But do you remember when he played the derby? He played the second half. He was actually really good when he came out. Do you remember?
Absolutely. He gave a little bit of burst to Lazio's team that was, I thought, tired. They played the Champions League the couple of days before, and you could see that fatigue was ramping up. How funny is Felipe Anderson? Probably against Frosinone a couple of days ago, his worst match of the season. And then against Udinese, he come in and he looks a completely different player. Incredible, let's hope he continues tomorrow because, I mean, we need the best Felipe Anderson.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Philip Anderson. I think maybe the contracts, the signings, you know that his contract is out this summer. He might go to Juventus. He might go to Saudi Arabia. But right now, Lazio actually have a very generous contract proposal for him. I think 3.5 million euros a year, which is he's going to be number 2 after Chiro, right?
Well, yeah, or Ciro and Luis. So he's going to be probably there.
Right. I mean, I really hope we can hold on to him. And I think the reason why we're offering this very generous package is because Sai has basically told Lotito, this is my favorite player.
Well, could be when he's at his best, he's incredible. Unfortunately, he's ups and down. And Sarri said it after Udinese Lazio, right? If he had played always like this, he would be at Real Madrid, not at Lazio.
Yes,
so,
I agree.
That's obvious. Going back to Isaksen, this is the second injury for him at Lazio. Is he an injury-prone player? You know him better than everyone. Mm-hmm. Is it that, or is it just bad luck at Rome?
Yeah, no, he's not injury prone. He's never really had any big injuries when he was in FC Midtjylland. He doesn't have any knee problems. I don't think he has any ankle problems. I think this injury was really, really bad luck because the funny thing is, this might be very Danish, but I will explain it to you. So the defender who commits the foul against Isaksen is from Denmark. He was a Danish guy, Thomas Christensen.
Yep.
So he plays for a team in Denmark called AGF, which is Aarhus, the Aarhus team. He used to play for them. And Midtjylland and Aarhus are really, really not friends at all. So, you know, if you really want to be a conspiracist person, you know, you could maybe think that he injured Isaksen on purpose. I don't think that was the fact, though, because it looked like really, really bad luck. Because if you look at the free kick, what he does is like he wraps his arms around him, but then when Isaksen's right foot, I think, hits the ground, he steps on that foot.
Yeah.
But that is, in my opinion, just bad luck, you know.
Yeah, and Sarri said after the game that he should be able to recover. Instead, he still didn't train, so he should be out for the derby. Let's hope he's back for the game against Lecce, because even Zaccagni will be out. So we will be playing with Felipe Anderson, Tati Castellanos, and Pedro in the derby. And, you know, it's not a bad trio, but I don't think Pedro can play 90 minutes, especially in such a difficult environment like the derby.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think that Gustav Isaksen is really sick of this because he's waited so long to play for Lazio. Now he's playing really well. And this is the second injury in 2 months, as you say. But like I said, usually he's not injured. So and he's always in really, really good shape. He's always winning all those. Whenever they do those tests in training, he's always basically winning, or he's top 3. So you know, it's definitely not his conditioning. I mean, he'll always be ready to play.
What's your take on Tati Castellanos' performance? Because he didn't do pretty much, but the second goal starts from his header. So were you expecting more from Tati Castellanos? What's your take on his performance against Udinese?
I think he's getting better and better. He played really, really well last time. Obviously, he scored a goal and had an assist. He didn't do that this time around, but if you consider the match against Udinese, it was such a closed match. You know, they didn't have any chances. We didn't have any chances. I think he did really well. I think he fought really well, which was important against this wrestling team from Udinese. And I think he won a few really important headers. So he's the guy who puts it down in front of Philip Anderson when we scored the second goal, right?
Yep.
I think he's doing better and better. I'm not sure that Ciro is much better than him at the moment. I'm very optimistic about Tati, because if I looked at him 3 weeks ago, I was close to giving up on him.
Yeah, I think the goal he scored against Frosinone gave him a massive boost, and that's how important is goal for strikers, right? For number 9, scoring is everything, I would say. And you can see it with a player like Tati. it was a difficult match. We said it before. You said it. It was a wrestling game. So even for Castellanos, was very hard to get the ball. But he fought on that chance and we scored. So I think, and he fought because he scored against Frosinone, in my opinion. Otherwise, maybe he would have given up. So Goldstein is incredible, right?
No, but he had a. Did you notice that at one point Udinese had a counter attack because we lost the ball? We had a counter attack. I think he sprinted like 80 meters basically from the baseline at Udinese down to the front of our defense. Because I was looking at who the hell is that making that great run back, and that was Castellanos.
Yep.
So I mean that whenever I see an attacking player doing something like that, it really, I mean, I get a lot of respect for that player, you know.
Looking Kamada struggling in midfield and looking the situation we have in front, you know, Isaacsen is out, Zakan is out. Do you think Kamada could be a solution? Maybe left wing, right wing. He played a little bit there, and Sarri, in 2 occasions, put it there because we didn't have any other option. Do you think there's a chance in the derby to see him playing in that position?
I doubt it. I mean, Kamada is he's not a quick player at all. Sai wants his two wingers to be quick, or as in Pedro's case, very inventive, very good on the ball. And Kamada is not like that at all. He's not quick at all. He's kind of a big guy, actually. He's pretty tall. Sakani is quick. Isaacsen is quick. Philippe Anderson is quick. I don't really see him playing that position. I mean, I'm kind of afraid that he's not going to play against Roma, to be honest. But Vittorio, we have to talk about the player of the match. As Nicolo Rovella was just amazing. Just amazing. What a signing.
I thought he had another great performance. And to be honest with you, and I think I said it often in this podcast, I thought Rovella would have been a great signing for us. He's young, he's talented, but I didn't expect him to be so important already now. I thought it would take, 6, 7 months, 8 maybe, because he's young, etc. Instead, he picked up immediately. After he started, he's been terrific. And the funny thing is, Sarri keeps saying, hey, wait, he still needs to improve a lot. He still needs to play much better, and he can play much better against Udinese, and it was a very complicated team. We mentioned it already. I thought he had a great, great game.
Well, the thing about Rovella is that I've never really been in doubt that he's a really, really good football player, that he's technically a strong player. He's tactically a very strong player. But I wasn't really sure how physically strong he was, because my problem with Cataldi sometimes is that Cataldi, I think, has great ball handling, good deliveries, good technique, is also a clever, intelligent player, but he's not a fighter. He's not very strong. But Rovella against this Udinese team, which basically consists of 8 people who are more boxers or wrestlers than footballers. I mean, he was just in there all the time. He was a nuisance for these Udinese players, And when I look at Rovella, I look at somebody who looks like a kid to me. He looks like a young guy. But these Udinese players, he certainly made them aware of his presence in there. He was such a strong guy. He was fighting all the time. I have much deeper respect for him now than I did before, and I had a lot of respect for him before.
Yeah, this fighting thing, I was surprised because I never saw him like a fighter. He's not the Lucas Leiva of Monza, etc. Instead, I don't know. I thought he recovered more balls than any Lazio players on Sunday. He's a sort of becoming a leader there, and he's the youngest we have in the squad. So I'm really, really happy about this signing. Honestly, I couldn't expect Juventus to sell him, but that's when you have money issue, right? You're forced to sell players, good players. Rovella is young, he's talented, he's improving a lot. And I always say, a youngster needs to play to improve. He's playing a lot, so this will make him grow even bigger. Now, the thing he needs to improve is being more decisive when he has the opportunity. He missed a huge chance. Was it against Inter, I think? He had another chance on Sunday. He needs to take these chances because he's a very skilled player. He needs to score a little bit more because, Carsten, this year, our midfielder haven't been scoring a lot. Vecino is a top scorer with 5 goals, and he's the midfielder who played less than any other. So
Yeah.
we need some more goals from there. When you see it's 2 goals, Luis Alberto is 3 goals, Cataldi and Rovella are 0. That's not good. We end this in January.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Rovella is playing the number 6, the sort of regista or Vesala position. I mean, you can't really expect a lot of goals from a person who plays that position. But I thought against Udinese, he was so brave.
Yeah.
I mean, he was hurling himself into all these challenges all the time, and he was playing against players who were 10 years older than him and maybe 20 pounds bigger than him.
Yeah.
Big players. I mean, I know that when I played football, I would never do that. I was not brave at all. But I was looking at Rovella and I was going, I can't believe that he's throwing himself into all these altercations with these huge, strong Udinese players. I did such a great match, because in a match like this, you need somebody who's just really, really strong, that the opposition has a lot of physical respect for. And he was that kind of guy. Kamara was the exact opposite.
Yeah, unfortunately. And this is the problem. It's not making mistakes. It's like he's not in the pitch. His mind is somewhere else. He is not recovering balls. He's not making the right decision. He had that huge. I mean, we were mentioning Tati Castellano before. The goal changed his season. If he scores against Udinese, he could change his season, and he wasted a huge opportunity. And it looks like he didn't care. And again, that goal could really change Kamada's season. So that's why I'm really, really concerned about that. Don't know if he's going to have other chance, because Luis Alberto is going to be back. And with this Vecino, again, I don't think you can keep him on the bench if Vecino playing like that, right? Vecino needs to start. He deserves it.
Yeah, I think so. I think Vecino is. I mean, let's just be very plain here. Vecino is not a great footballer. He doesn't have great footwork. He's not very quick. He doesn't have a great technique at all. He loses balls that almost no other players on the Lazio team will lose. But he's very physically strong. He's a big guy. He's brave. He's strong in the air, and he scores a lot of goals. And I think the goal against Udinese, Vittorio, we have to talk about that, because it's a great goal. I mean, the finish is worthy of Batistuta or Ronaldo or something like that. It's such a good finish. He has to put it straight at the post, and that's kind of what he does.
Yeah, it looks easy, but it isn't at all. Even because he's quite wide on the right side, and so it's not easy to kick it back on the other side. And the goalkeeper is surprised, like everybody. And if I'm not wrong, he's able to put the ball under the legs of the defender.
Yeah. It's a striker's goal. I mean, it's a goal that a really good striker can make. Usually, a midfield player can't finish like this. It's not what midfielders are good at. But that finish was, I mean, it's one of the best finishes I've seen all year.
And the fact is, Vecino is 5 goals this season, and he had hardly played so far. So this is why he's so important. I agree with you. He's not our best midfielder. He's not the most skilled midfielder we have, but he has experience, and he has something that you cannot teach. He has this inside the box. He knows where to go, where the ball is going, and he's very decisive. He knows how to score. And for a team like Lazio that struggle to score, it's really important. I mean, Lazio Frosinone, we were 1-0 down when he came in. We scored 3 goals. Obviously, it's not all credit to Vecino, but he had a role there. Against Udinese, he came in and we scored twice. I mean, that's huge. Well, no, we scored 1, but he scored the goal. It's so important to have that type of players. We lost Milinkovic Savic. He's the only player we have with that skill. I'm not saying he's Milinkovic Savic, don't get me wrong, but he's the only one we have with that skill set. Guendouzi is a great player, but doesn't have that sense of urgency, of scoring, right? So that's why Vecino is so important.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about this last time. We said that Vecino is he's a Sergei Milinkovic Savic light. I think that's what he is, and I think that's how Sarri is using him more and more as a Milinkovic Savic light. He gets into the box. He's always dangerous. He's a good header of the ball. He's dangerous in front of goal. I think that hold on to Vecino and make him turn him into the best Sergej Milinkovic-Savic we can make. We can never make the original one. It's impossible. He's in Saudi Arabia now, and he's such a good player. Hopefully we get him back in a year or two. But I think that Vecino is the closest thing we have to a Milinkovic-Savic, and we need that kind of player. We do.
And this is what I want to ask you. Do you think we made a mistake? In the sense, you lose Milinkovic-Savic, you know what you're losing. Instead of going and sign Kamada, shouldn't Lazio be looking for a player with similar skill set of Milinkovic-Savic? I know you cannot replace Milinkovic-Savic. You cannot buy a player that identical of Milinkovic-Savic. But you cannot tell me that they're not players with the same mindset of Vecino, the same, vision of Vecino. So probably it was wrong to sign Kamada. We should go and sign players that have the same skills of Milinkovic-Savic that we're missing. Do you agree with me?
Yes, I sort of agree with you, but I wouldn't want to be the scout whose assignment it is, go and find me a new Milinkovic-Savic. I mean, who would that be, Vittorio? I mean, I don't know anybody in Serie A who's like that at all. I mean, it's almost impossible. If you want to find somebody who might be close to him, you'd have to pay so much money for him. Juventus has one, so you can just buy him. It's his name is Rabiot. I think Rabiot is actually the closest to Sergej Milinkovic-Savic that you can find, and he might be the best player in the whole league. But I don't think Lazio will buy Rabiot.
No, but I mean, someone with the skills of Vecino. I mean, you have to downgrade a little bit, obviously, but you can go and sign a 20 years old player with that skills. And I guess he will be scoring more goals for you than Kamada, etc. So I think that's where Lazio gone wrong this summer.
But that Sai also wants a player who can play football really, really well. He doesn't just want somebody who's big and strong in the air and who might score a few goals and be physically strong. He wants somebody who can also play football. And that's the problem. Where do you find somebody who's 190 and is still a really good footballer? Because that's Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. That's also Rabiot. But how do you find a person like that? It's almost impossible. Vecino doesn't have that, but he has some of the other very important skills, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose, and again, it's not very easy. You probably have to. Maybe in Denmark, there's someone like that. Someone growing up,
Remember last time you found a really big, strong guy in Denmark? His name was Vavo. It didn't go that well.
No, it didn't. But he's playing great, right?
Yeah, he's playing well.
He also played well in Champions League. So I mean,
well, FC Copenhagen is playing against Manchester City in the Champions League,
and they beat.
And I think he'll be playing. He's had a long injury this season actually, but yeah, I think he'll be playing that match. I don't think FC Copenhagen has much of a chance though.
Of course, well, I would say nobody has a lot of chance, even though City is not playing great. But
still,
yeah, I mean,
it's impossible. You can't beat that team.
It's Real Madrid. What else? Who has chance against Manchester City if they play at the best?
I agree. Should we talk about Pellegrini's goal?
I was going to ask you.
Happy. Yeah.
He's the first defender scoring on a free kick after Massimo Oddo. So it was ages ago. And I thought it was a very smart goal because he was very close to the goal. And, I thought he was very smart.
I think the Udinese goalkeeper didn't make it easy for himself.
Yeah,
because one thing is that you build this wall, you have somebody lying, behind the wall. But the other thing is that he actually had 2 or 3 players standing next to the wall as well. And I don't see that. I mean, I've never been a goalkeeper, but to me, it doesn't seem like an advantage that I have 3 players standing next to the wall because then I can't see the ball. You just can't see the ball at all. So if you get the ball, I thought it was a very clever free kick because it was so low as well. It's kind of he almost stabbed the ball. It's not a hard. He didn't hit it very hard.
No.
Very intelligent goal. Very intelligent.
And first goal of his career, first goal for Lazio. I thought Luca Pellegrini deserved more credit. He needs to play more. I don't understand why he didn't start the season playing that much, but finally he's getting the opportunity and he's picking them, right?
Yeah, No, I agree. I like him. I think he's coming forward a lot. He's kind of he's a modern left back. I think his crosses are probably the best crosses that we have. So let's keep him playing. And I also think that now we have a real threat on free kicks. This is not good news for Gustav Isaksen, because he wants to he wants to kick those free kicks as well, and he's left-footed as well. But Gustav Isaksen has had 2 chances and he's hit it above the bar both times. So I think now, from now on, if it's a left foot kick, I would say, even though I'm Danish, I would say that Isaksen should not kick that free kick.
Well, that's another problem we have this season, and in general, Lazio doesn't score too many goals from free kicks.
No.
This was the first direct goal this season from free kick, and in modern football, around 30% of goals comes from there. So it's important to have a player like Luca Pellegrini, but we need to be much better. Corner kicks, free kicks, Lazio's dreadful, terrible.
I think Luis Alberto has had a pretty bad season. He was okay the first month, and after that he's been terrible. And I think that his dead ball skills are not really that good. I would recommend maybe having Sakani hit the free kicks, hit the corner kicks with his really good right foot. I think Luis Alberto, he's not a very good. If you look at it, his corner kicks are nothing special. His free kicks are nothing special at all. So just let Sakanya do that. In general, Vittorio, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of Luis Alberto comes back, because I think he has a lot to prove at the moment. Lazio has won almost all the matches when he hasn't played. And that's something Sai must have looked into.
Yeah, and this is something very strange, because usually without Ciro and Luis, we pretty much lost every game so far in the past. So this is very different. Another thing we have to mention, I think Rovella kicks the corner kicks much, much better than Luis Alberto. He should be in charge now. The problem is Luis Alberto is one of the leaders, so he wants to take everything. I thought Rovella had a very good corner kicks. It's not a coincidence we scored against Frosinone from corner kick. And let's hope that Sarri changed things. And I agree with you. The last couple of games Luis Alberto played were terrible. He was playing really, really bad. So now that he's back, it's true that unfortunately Kamada didn't prove nothing. So we don't have that many options there. But we need to see something more from Luis Alberto, something better. Because otherwise it's better Vecino, right? Vecino and Guendouzi.
Yeah, no, I think Luis Alberto has a point to prove. I mean, he really needs to come back and do something very special. Sort of like when Philip Anderson got subbed into the Udinese game. Because when he came on, we hadn't really seen him play well for a long, long time. And then he played maybe the best 45 minutes of this season, maybe. And I think Luis Alberto has to come back and do something special, because Lazio have done surprisingly well without Luis Alberto. And I think Sai must have noticed, all the spectators, the Lazio fans, I think they've noticed as well. Maybe Luis Alberto isn't that important anymore. He needs to show us that he's still important.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that changed this year is that finally we have options. In the past, without Luis Alberto and Ciro, we were done. We didn't have any option. Now we have Tati Castellanos, we have Kamada, even if he's not playing well. We have Vecino. Theoretically, we still have Basic, who is still on the squad, even though I think he's going to leave in January, hopefully for him, because otherwise he's not going to play. But, I mean, in the past, without Ciro, Luis Alberto, and Felipe Anderson, we didn't even play the game. We already lost that. This year, we even able to win.
Well, if you look at Lazio this past 6 months, Vittorio, I think that it almost couldn't have got any better. I mean, we've been without Ciro in half the matches. We've been without Milinkovic-Savic in all the matches. That's our two best offensive players of the last 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. We've been out without those two players. We haven't been with a good Luis Alberto at all. He's played maybe, 5 good matches, maybe 3 good matches this season. And still, Lazio is 3 points off the 4th place in the league, and Lazio is in the Champions League. I know against Bayern Munich and everything, but we progressed in the Champions League. So we did a major redoing this summer, and 6 months later, Lazio has almost a brand new offensive team. that's not too bad. It really isn't.
No, it's not bad at all, and it's very positive. We have to say that Lazio wasted a lot of points this season, but so did Milan, Napoli, Roma. All the big teams, except Inter, I would say, are dropping points. So this definitely helps us. But I mean, you have to give credit where it's due. We lost the first 2 games. It looks like the season didn't even start. And now we are there, and we are competing against Fiorentina because Napoli and Roma are behind us. So that's really good. It's not finished. We have a lot of months ahead of us, but definitely in September, if someone told us, hey, beginning of January, you are close to the Champions League position, I would say, yeah, it's not possible, right?
Of course, yeah. No, I think that, well, I mean, there's 19 games yet, so we are only halfway right now. I think that if you look at Napoli, the last 14 seasons, Napoli have been in the Champions League 12 of those seasons.
Yeah.
And they still have a really, really strong team. I think that I think Lazio has a good chance of finishing number 4. I think the closest competitor to number 4 will be Napoli. That I know nobody thinks that I'm right about this because right now Napoli is terrible. But if you look at the players, the Napoli players, I think they have a top 3 squad. So I think that it's going to be Inter, Juventus, Milan, and then either Napoli or Lazio, or maybe Atalanta. I don't believe in Fiorentina and Bologna. I think they'll drop down.
Yeah, me too. The problem with Napoli is the manager. You're thinking they're going to sack him before the end of the season?
No. I think he's going to stay on the rest of the season. But it's still such a good team, man. I mean, player for player.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I thought some players played much better than they are really last year.
Sure. Yeah,
and this year they are back to normal in a certain way. And I think the manager is outdated. Mazzarri was finished 8 years ago. So, but we're gonna see.
Garcia was a terrible choice. Mazzarri is an even worse choice. And I think the reason why Napoli is doing so terrible this season is De Laurentiis. De Laurentiis, he knew from April last year. I talked to a journalist in Napoli who told me Spalletti is going to quit this summer. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows he's going to quit. And if everybody knew it, De Laurentiis knew it as well. So he had 6 months to find another coach to one of the best teams in the world, who just won the Italian championship by 16 points and got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And he had 6 months. And what he came up with was this Frenchman who said in public that he had never watched Napoli play a single game. I mean, how do you hire a person like that?
Yeah, the question mark is how Napoli won the Scudetto with De Laurentiis. I thought he's got...
Yeah. Well, because they had Spalletti, and he's a great coach.
Yeah, but you see, they fought each other after 6 months. So, but we are Lazio podcast, so let's go back to Lazio. Carsten, thanks again for joining me. Let's hope that Lazio wins the derby and Isak can get back in shape because we need him. Thanks everybody for listening. Remember to rate and review the podcast. Thanks to our memberships. We couldn't do it without you. And we'll be back. Probably we're going to do a short episode after the derby and then a bigger one after Lazio Lecce. Thanks, Carsten, again for joining me.